The handcuffs clicked around his wrists, sharp and cold, while laughter echoed from the officers who had just accused him of a crime he didn't commit. Every step they forced him to take felt heavier than the last, the world outside indifferent to his fear. He saw their smirks, their eyes judging before the law had even spoken. But as he was dragged away, a question burned in his mind. How could the ones sworn to protect justice mock the innocent so easily? What happens when the tables finally turn? Watch until the end to find out. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories. Like this, Jordan Williams was a respected lawyer, renowned for his calm demeanor and keen intellect. He had spent his life fighting for justice in courtrooms, standing up for those who had no voice. That evening, he was walking home after finishing a case in downtown Chicago, the city lights reflecting off puddles from an earlier rain. It was a route he had taken countless times, unremarkable, safe, or so he thought. As he passed a busy intersection, a squad car slowed beside him. The officers inside didn't greet or nod. They just stared. Jordan assumed they were responding to a nearby call until one stepped out and barked, ordering him to his knees. Confused and terrified, he realized he was being singled out. Not for anything he had done, but for the color of his skin. The everyday world he knew had collapsed in an instant. The officers laughed as they cuffed him, mocking his confusion. He pleaded silently, knowing that his credentials, reputation, and innocence meant nothing to them. Bystanders whispered, some looking away, some shaking their heads. Jordan's heart pounded. He had argued hundreds of cases defending the wrongly accused, yet now he faced that same injustice. Inside the station, the interrogations were mechanical, with sharp questions and baseless accusations. He sat silent, observing and noting names, badges, and everything else. Anger surged, not just at the injustice, but at the system that allowed it to thrive. For hours, he endured humiliation and disbelief. Yet, he kept his composure, thinking about the countless individuals who had been judged and punished without a fair trial. Finally, after an exhausting night, he was released. No charges, no apology. The laughter followed him to the door, but Jordan carried a quiet resolve. Years of studying law, countless late nights, and a determination to challenge injustice had prepared him for this. He knew one day the scales would balance. He returned home, exhausted but undeterred, envisioning a future where those who mocked justice would face the truth themselves. A decade later, Jordan walked into the courtroom, now appointed as a federal judge. The same officers who had laughed as they arrested him were in attendance, now defendants in a case of misconduct, civil rights violations, and abuse of power. His gavel rested heavy in his hand, symbolizing not vengeance, but the justice they had denied him. He listened as evidence unfolded, each testimony a reminder of the humiliation he had endured. His heart remained steady, his face calm, but inside, the memory of that night burned fiercely. When the verdict was announced, silence fell across the room. The mocking smirks were gone, replaced by stunned disbelief. Jordan had not just survived injustice, he had become its reckoning. As he walked out of the courtroom, Jordan reflected on the journey. The fear, the mockery, the system's failure, they had all been real, painful, unforgettable. Yet he had transformed that pain into purpose, proving that injustice could be challenged, that voices silenced by prejudice could rise to demand accountability. This was more than his story. It was a story repeated millions of times across the country, of people judged not by their actions, but by the color of their skin. The question remained, how many more would suffer before society truly learned? Jordan looked up at the city skyline, unwavering. Justice was not always immediate, but it was inevitable. Share this story, reflect on it, and ask yourself, what can you do when you see injustice? Where are you watching from today? And what will you stand against? Take care.